Hello, my dearest friends. Svetlana Shlapak, the founder of UKVisaSuccess.com, is here. I've created a video series where I explain which documents you will need to submit in support of your UK partner visa application. So this particular part number 3, is aimed at explaining a category number 3 or C category income from non-employment. So in this video, first of all, I'll explain what a non-employment income is, and secondly, I'll explain which documents you should consider submitting with your application. Once again, I would like to remind you that the Home Office only allows 5 sources of income, which are further subdivided into 7 categories. And in this video series, I explain what these are. So let us talk about non-employment income and identify which documents you should consider submitting with the application.
Okay guys, but before I begin this video, I just would like to remind you that this particular video is an extract from the online course, which is called How to Meet the Financial Requirements of Your British Spouse Visa Application when Applying from outside the UK. This particular online course is dedicated solely to helping you understand the financial aspect of your British spouse application. So it consists of 5 lessons, and there I concentrate solely on helping you understand how to meet the minimum income requirements and also how to check if you can be exempt from meeting the financial requirements. If you'd like to know more about the online course and how to get instant access to it, you're very welcome to click at the link below. Okay, so in this video, we are going to talk about a category C, which is known as non-employment category. So first of all, what is a non-employment income? In very generic terms, a non-employment income is an income that does not come from your employment. And the Home Office provided us with a very detailed and helpful list with everything which constitutes a non-employment income, and I have intention of going through every single source which they have identified. Let us first of all cover one of the most frequently asked questions about the sale of the property. Suppose you sell a property or some type of land or some other assets. Will the Home Office accept this as your non-employment income? The answer is no, they won't. However, the UKVI will accept evidence of profits from selling a business or property or investment bonds, stocks, shares or other assets as your cash savings. So what you need to do, you need to, once you've sold some assets or some property, so you need to put the proceeds in your bank account and then wait for another 6 months, and then you will be able to rely on this on your cash savings. And I'll discuss this in more detail, the cash savings, when creating a video about category D. And also very important point here, guys, if you have intention of relying on a cash savings, you have to always check that this is combinable with your other sources of income, and you need to pay particularly very close attention if you are a self-employed person, because generally this is not allowed. If you're a self-employed person, you will not be allowed to rely on your cash savings. Okay, so moving on to the maternity, paternity or adoption pay. If you're receiving a statutory or contractual maternity, paternity or adoption pay, you'll need to provide 3 documents in order to be able to rely on this source of income. The first one is a very straightforward one. You need to provide the bank statements which will correspond to the same periods as your pay slips, and they will need to show that the salary has been paid into an account either in your name or in the name of your partner or in the jointly owned account. And then we have specific rules about the payslips. The Home Office says that your payslips will need to cover at least 6 months if you were with the same employer for over 6 months, for 6 months or more, but this period extends to 12 months if you were with the same employer for less than 6 months. And in addition to that, guys, I draw your attention here that this is not mix and match. You need to provide all 3 documents. So the last document, number 3, is a letter from your employer. And this letter will need to cover 4 points. First of all, your employer will need to confirm your length of employment, your gross annual salary, and the period over which it has been paid at this level. And point number 3 is the entitlement to maternity, paternity, parental or adoption leave. And the last point, which the employer will need to mention in their letter, is the date of commencement and the end date of the maternity, paternity, parental or adoption leave. Paragraph 9a, companies' dividends. If you are not sure what paragraph 9a company is, you're very welcome to watch my previous video where I discussed the sources of income from employment. There I spent some time explaining what this means. Just to give you a general idea, normally paragraph 9a is a company which is a small company which normally covers family businesses which is owned by relatives. So if you are receiving dividends from this company, you need to provide all of the following documents. First of all, you'll need to provide dividend vouchers for all dividends declared in your favor during or in respect of a period covered by the company's tax return CT 600. And secondly, the general rule, personal bank statements showing that you were receiving those dividends either in your name, into the account in your name or in your partner's name or the jointly owned one. Then a very popular category of non-employment income is the property rentals, and there are, as you may suspect, quite a few rules with regards to the documents. So first of all, rather logically, you'll need to prove that property belongs to you. Guys, there may be situations where you have kind of an informal agreement where, let's say, the parents own the property, but they allow their kids to use all the profits from renting the property. And in fact, I had an inquiry quite recently where there was a granddaughter and a grandmother. So grandmother owned a number of properties and she allowed her granddaughter to use the income from the property rentals of these properties and to put it in her bank account. Unfortunately, this could not be counted as her income. However, if the amount which she puts in her bank account is there for 6 months, this can be combined as her can be counted as her cash savings. But once again, you need to make sure that if you would like to rely on cash savings, this can be combined with your other sources of income. So the first one is a confirmation of that you own the property, and this can be title deeds or a title register from the land registry. And if the property is overseas, you need to provide them with equivalent of thereof. And the second piece of evidence which you may provide when relying on the property income as your non-employment income, it can be mortgage statements. And then we have personal bank statements covering here. I draw your attention here that it's 12 months, it's not 6 months, it has to be for the past 12 months. And also you'll need to provide them with a copy of your rental agreement. Okay, dividends. And here, guys, we are talking about dividends which are not from paragraph 9a company. So this is from the standard company. So all of these will need to be provided. First of all, a certificate showing proof of ownership and the amount of any investment which was made. The second document is a portfolio report, and this has to be from the institution which is regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, and if this is overseas, it has to be regulated by the equivalent company overseas. And where it applies, it should also be regulated by the Prudential Regulation Authority, or they say that they can accept dividend vouchers, but it has to be with your name on it. And then you'll need to provide bank statements covering the last 12 months, where first of all there is a date there, and secondly that your income was paid into an account which belongs to you or your partner, or it was paid to a joint account. And there is a specific rule for the directors of the company. So they say that where you are a director of a limited company, you'll need to provide them with evidence confirming that this is not a paragraph 9a company, and they will accept the latest annual return filed at the company's house as a proof of this fact. Now, moving on to interest from savings. This is a very simple and straightforward. To evidence interest from savings, you'll need to provide your personal bank statements for or from the 12 months period before the date of the application. And these statements will need to show the amount of savings you have in your bank account and also the interest which was paid in your account. And once again, this can be your account, your partner's account, or it can be a joint account. The next one is the maintenance payments. Okay, maintenance payments are typically from a former partner to support you and children from previous marriage. And for the Home Office to accept these payments towards meeting the financial requirements for your British spouse visa application, you'll need to provide only two types of documents. The first one, a document reflecting the details of the maintenance agreements. And here they give examples. They say that it can be either a court order or some form of written voluntary agreement, or the child support documentation. And the second one is the standard bank statements for the last 12 months confirming that the income you relied upon was paid into this account, or it can be in your partner's name or in the joint account. Okay, what sort of allowance will the UKVI allow? It will probably help if we identify which allowance the decision makers will always disregard and not allow when assessing the financial requirements of the application. And these include, but not limited to, loans and credit facilities of any type, and also income-related benefits such as income support, income-related employment and support allowance, pension credits, housing benefits, council tax benefits or support or any equivalent, and income-based job seekers allowance, contributory benefits such as a contribution-based job seekers allowance, contribution-based employment and support allowance, and incapacity benefits. Also, they will not accept unemployability allowance for a lowered standard of occupation, and invalidity allowance under the war pension scheme. They will not allow any sorts of child-related benefits such as child benefits or child tax credits. They will not allow working tax credits or universal credits. However, they will consider allowance which you were receiving not due to your low income, but as a result of some sort of events in your life. For example, they will allow the UK maternity allowance or bereavement allowance, a bereavement payment, and widowed allowance. And to evidence these allowable allowances, you need to only provide them with two documents. The first one has to be a letter from the Department for Work and Pension confirming that you were in receipt of these allowable benefits in the last 12 months. And secondly, this has to be your bank statements or your partner's bank statements or the joint account confirming that you have been receiving these allowable allowances into your bank account. Payment schemes. Payment schemes may include, but are not limited to payments under the War Pension Scheme, the Armed Forces Compensation Scheme, or the Armed Forces Attributable Benefit Scheme. It is provided these schemes are not treated as pension. And for you to rely on these payments when proving that you meet the financial requirements, you will need to again provide only two types of documents. The first one is anything from Veteran Agency or Department for Work and Pensions confirming that you are entitled to these allowable payment schemes. And secondly, your bank statements for the last 12 months confirming that you were in receipt of these payment schemes. Let us talk about grant and stipends. If you received a maintenance grant or stipend, and I draw attention here, guys, that this is not a loan, so the loans will not be allowed, then first of all, you need to check whether or not this grant or stipend is a gross amount or a net one. If it is a net amount, you'll need to convert it into the gross amount, because this way you'll be able to rely on a bigger amount of money And secondly, you'll need to provide only 2 documents. First of all, it has to be a letter or any other official documents from the body or the company awarding the grant or the stipend. And in this letter, the writer will need to confirm that, first of all, you are currently in receipt of this grant or stipend, or you will be in receipt of this grant or stipend within 3 months from the application date. And the next point which they will need to confirm in their letter is that the grant or stipend will be paid for at least 12 months or for a full academic year. And also they have to be very specific with regards to the date on which these payments will commence. And then the second piece of evidence which you'll need to provide is your bank statement confirming that you were in receipt of this grant or stipend. And obviously, if you're about to start receiving this, then as the bank statements will not be showing this. So you have to be very clear and specific with regards to this when preparing a letter in support of your application. So the next ones are insurance payments. To rely on ongoing insurance payments when proving that you meet the financial requirements, you will need to provide, first of all, a letter or any other documents from the insurance company confirming 3 points. First of all, that in the 12 months before the application, you have been in receipt of these insurance payments. And also, this letter will need to show the amount and the frequency of these payments. The second point, which has to be confirmed in the letter, is the reason for the payments and the expected duration. And the final point which has to be covered is that provided you meet all the relevant terms and conditions, you will continue be getting these payments in the next 12 months. And then the second piece of evidence is your bank statements confirming that you were in receipt of these insurance payments. And these bank statements will need to cover the 12 months period. The last form of non-employment income which I would like to discuss in this video is classified as a structured legal settlement. Well, there may be all sorts of structured legal settlements. For example, where there was a settlement arising from the personal injury claim or something similar. And in order for you to be able to rely on this source of income, you'll need to provide a letter or some sort of documents from a court or your legal representative confirming that in the 12 months before the date of the application, you have been in receipt of a structured legal settlement payments. And also they will need to prove the amount and the frequency of these payments. The second point which has to be confirmed in these documents or in a letter is the reason for the payment and the expected duration, and also a confirmation, the explicit one, that you will be receiving these payments in the next 12 months, provided, of course, you meet all the necessary terms and conditions. And the second piece of evidence which you'll need to provide is your bank statements covering the last 12 months period of time, confirming that you were receiving the money from this structured legal settlement. I would like to invite you to visit this page, ukvisasuccess.com/more, where you'll find plenty of free immigration resources explaining various immigration rules. And I also invite you to subscribe to a new, very, very succinct and short newsletter where I'll be updating you on various changes in the world of UK immigration law. And also I will be sending various exclusive invitations to the members of ukvisasuccess.com community. You'll only be able to get these offers if you are subscribed to this newsletter. Have an amazing week, guys.